Welcome everyone, welcome YouTubers. We are back and we are here for episode 1. Mr. Tucci, how are we doing this evening?
We are doing pretty fantastic all across the fruited plain, the Fiends, and this is welcome to episode 1. And I am so excited to introduce one of the greatest comic book creators working today for the past almost 30 years, Mr. Brian Pulido, the king of Kickstarter, the Archduke of Coffin Comics, one of my best friends, and one of the best people ever meet in your life. Welcome to our show, Brian.
Welcome, Billy and Niall. You sociopaths are crazy for having me on for episode 1, but I'm honored. Today we're going to cover all kinds of topics. I put myself in your hands.
Yes.
Nice.
You're in good hands.
Well, we'll see about that. Brian Pulido, my God. Being that, I mean, you've created an empire. We've all been doing this, this roller coaster ride of comics, but you are not only a survivor, you are a thriver, and you've been an inspiration to millions out there. Your creations have gross, to a calculation I had read, over $50 million that you guys have brought in. And it's not bad from a young kid coming from Long Branch, New Jersey, worked your way up. And I got a quick question about Long Branch. Have you ever been to the Haunted Mansion?
Come on, Billy. Long Branch, New Jersey was exit 5 of the Garden State Parkway, home of the Haunted Mansion. Of course I was at the Haunted Mansion. I went to the windmill. I went to, all of it, of course. I grew up in Long Branch.
Nice. So you were a total monster kid, I assume. Universal Monster, Hammer Films, Romero.
But in particular, in addition to those, I loved all the films of Roger Corman and AIP. I liked all those crazy radioactive monsters and the cheesy drive-in horror movies. So all of that's kind of like swimming around in my brain too.
Nice. Well, you have such an interesting journey because I know you went to NYU, the New York University, one of the most prestigious and hardest schools to get into in the country.
Yes.
So how did you find your way from New York University downtown, down in the village in New York City to into comic book shops?
Well, great question. So I've always had a love of comic books. I think ever since I was a kid and I could thumb through the local shops and stuff, not even comic shops, like the, what do they call them, like flea markets.
Yeah.
I would be attracted to the symphony of words and pictures. So I've always had that attraction. And it really wasn't until I was in 12th grade and I actually took a film appreciation class where I finally declared a major, and I applied only to 2 colleges, Seton Hall University and NYU. And if I didn't get into either, I don't know, I probably would have been toast. But very luckily, between, I guess, SATs, college prep, and a really cool essay, I was able to swim into NYU and declare myself a film major.
Okay. So, but like I said, getting to the gist of it, because we only have an hour of your time. I know how busy you are. I know that people are chomping at the bit to actually see the studio as well, to hear you. In a nutshell, for those who don't know, because we are grasping all across the whole spectrum of comics, who is Lady Death?
Lady Death is a sword-wielding battle maiden who fights evil in hell. She began in medieval times as a girl named Hope. And through trials and tribulations, she was forged into this weapon that we see here, the one and only Lady Death. Her adventures have been in comics for over 25 years. So that is, in principle, who Lady Death is. She's an anti-hero who takes no shit from anybody. And
there you go.
She's a class A ass kicker.
Yeah.
And quick though, what was, if you can share really quick, what was the true, your first inspiration for Lady Death?
What inspired me to create Lady Death was the time in which I created her, which is circa 1988. It was the height of the thrash metal era, and I'm listening to Metallica, Megadeth, Exodus, and I created another character named Evil Ernie. And when I created him, I needed a motivation for him. And so, operating with the notion of behind every great man is a great woman, I crafted Evil Ernie's ideal woman. And Evil Ernie's ideal woman was a melange of great beauties of the time, which would be Sophie Loren, Tura Satana, Anne Margaret, Marilyn Monroe for shape and for look. However, I was also attracted to the very gothy looking ladies, Morticia Adams, Lily, but most of all, Vampira, the LA horror hostess of the early 60s. And I looked at Vampira and I saw how cold and cruel she was. And she was very pale, yet she had black hair. And I thought, well, what if you subtract all of the color? It just made the character completely alabaster. But what if she had that very, very cold heart like Vampira? And that was part of it. I'd also seen Paul Verhoeven's movie, I think it was called, gosh, I forgot the name of it, but it was very influential in this setting. So it was really all these different ingredients that began forging the character Lady Death.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and what I always notice about Lady Death, and to do our brief history, is Brian, and I put it in our 25th anniversary she-books that are coming out. It's all in the back page. It's pretty much the same letter. But you were the only person at the San Diego Comic-Con in 1993 when you and Stephen Hughes, and I believe it was Jason Jensen, were in small press. Yeah. And you actually took the time and you told me that I had talent. You made me believe that I had talent. And you gave me a job and you gave me a pinup. And that became a pinup in the blockbuster of 1995. Ended up being the Lady Death swimsuit issue.
That's right.
And I just want to I am incredibly indebted, for my whole life. My whole family is all because of you. And you told me that I could do my own book because my samples were my own comic. And you said, well, why the hell don't you? So this is 1993 at the San Diego Comic-Con. You're in small press. You have Evil Ernie out. 1994 at San Diego Comic-Con, you were the fucking bee's knees. You were the paterfamilias of the whole thing.
Yeah, Billy, we released both of our first issues and our first story arcs within 90 days of each other.
Yeah.
So by the time that we showed up to San Diego 94, this whole thing exploded around us, and it was completely incredible and utterly out of our control.
Yeah, and then they had to.
The story of true love right here.
Yeah. Yeah, they had to move us to the autograph area, and they set me up next to Shatner. That's who I got set up next. And we had thousands of people online, and he kept looking at who the hell is these? Who are these guys? It's me and my wife, me and Deb, and Peter Gutierrez and Barry Ork and our colorist, and it was, and we were just, like I said, you talk rock and roll, man. We were just rock and roll samurai, and it was fantastic. But getting back to the Vampira thing and how you drain the color, what I always loved about Vampira too, and what I saw about Lady Death the first time is this regalness about her.
Yeah.
She is, and you say it's a cold heart, and you're the creator of it, but I never saw her as distant or cold. I just saw this regal that she is above the fray, but she gets bloodied and she battles and she suffers so many losses. I mean, centuries it seems of losses and things like that, but she still maintains that composure, and it's really, she encompasses not only this regalness, but I see the cold heart is that she really, and her name is Hope, which is so interesting because she has so much sorrow about her. I mean, she's So.
I do. One of the first sentences that are written in Lady Death 1 on page 1 says, "To know her is to know a woman cursed," and it always informs my decision making. I think that as I tell the story of Lady Death, it's ultimately a story of persistence. So that no matter what the odds are and no matter what is thrown against her, she's going to get back up and she's going to keep going. And I guess that kind of parallels a little bit on my career because I've certainly had my ebbs and flows and my dramatic ups and my dramatic downs. But that point that you make about the character, which is that she's perceived as a goddess, is something I like to instill in every single contributor to Lady Death. That she is in control, that she calls the shots, that she's not a victim. And I think people, boys and ghouls from around the world really connect.
Yeah, definitely gravitate towards it.
Wonderful. Yes. Now, Niall, could you post, Brian, you currently have a Kickstarter, Lady Death Scorched Earth #1, right now. And what it's astonishing is that I see that you've created 15 Kickstarters so far. But right now, with Lady Death Scorched Earth #1, boys and girls out there, with 14 days left of your 30-day campaign, you have raised just shy of $275,000.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible.
And who says there's no money in comics? You're going against the grain. I mean, it's just astonishing and it's inspiring,
Thank
and
you.
it's just wonderful. And I just I see from now and looking at her, and again this regalness. But Lady Death's first appearance was Lady Death's first appearance in Lady Death #1.
It wasn't. Lady Death's first appearance was in December of 1991 in the comic Evil Ernie #1. Mm-hmm. And by design, we were only showing one aspect of the character. And at that time, the character was portrayed as evil. And it wasn't until she spun off into her own series, Lady Death the Reckoning, which came out in February of 1994, that we began to see that softer side and people could identify with the person she was before the visage of Lady Death took over, where people could see her as Ho, who was the daughter of a medieval feudal lord. So yeah, and just speaking to the idea of the magnificence of this current Kickstarter, it's unbelievable. And we are super grateful and honored that fiends, both new and old, are rallying around the cause of Coffin and just making this thing blow up.
And it's got to blow up, guys. So all of you out there, if you've already pledged and you can't pledge anymore, please share it, because this is an incredibly inspiring story. And you've created, your fiends. It's like a fiend army, but it's like a fiend family. It's like I've had lunch with you, and someone will come up to you, a fiend of the thousand, and you know their names. You know these fiends. They're like the fiends who become family to you and to Francisca, your wife, and it's just amazing, it's wonderful, and I think they get that the people see. But I'll get back to your
and
your
look,
fans.
I mean, you can see with just the quality of your Kickstarters and your campaigns. I mean, you really put all your heart and soul into it, and it shows. And I think that's why we all gravitate to your books and everything you're putting out. And I think with all this talk of your Kickstarter, I think this is maybe a good point to launch, to share the video.
Dude, let's share the video.
Let's share the
Kickstarter. Go for it.
All right.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Pulido, creator of Lady Death, and we are back to rock your world with an all-new 48-page graphic novel entitled Lady Death, Scorched Earth. 20 years ago, the Earth as we know it was irrevocably changed in the aftermath of Lady Death's epic battle with Atrocity, the mother of abomination. A major city was laid to waste, and though she saved the day, Lady Death was labeled a global threat. Set against this backdrop, and with the extinction-level villainy of the Trinity threatening humanity, Lady Death returns to Earth. Will she be seen as friend or foe? Is she humanity's salvation or destruction? Featuring the insidious villainy of the Halo Corporation, and I am sorry to say, the death of a beloved character. This one is gonna hurt, folks. Helping me bring this next chapter to light is co-writer Mike McLean, and welcome new official illustrator Diego Bernard, colorist CC De La Cruz, and veteran letterer Marshall Dillon. Plus, we have a slew of amazing cover artists to rock your world. And here's the thing, these projects are done. All we gotta do is print. There's no doubt we need your help to bring Lady Death to life. Please pledge now, and pledge often. Tell everybody. Thank you so much, everybody. You guys effing rule.
All right, guys, there it was, live.
Man, I mean, two things. One, how iconic she is, and we were talked about her first appearance in Evil Ernie in 1991. Again, her appearance now is so iconic. It really is a part of pop culture. Mm-hmm. What did she look like then? How was she different? Did she look different? Because I don't have that issue. I'm sorry, I never.
Well, actually, thanks for asking that question. We've actually kept Lady Death's look very, very similar. So she's statuesque, she's 5'11", she's buxom, she has the giant, buoyant hair, but I've given the artists a lot of latitude for redoing and redesigning her costume. So in the current storyline since 2015, she's wearing a costume that we call Dark Queen, and it features these cool rivets, and it's a little black metal inspired. But generally, I really am into things that are awesome and unchanging. So for example, I adore Iron Maiden and I adore Slayer. And largely, they figured it out in AC/DC. They figured it out a long time ago and they don't change. And honestly, I haven't learned much and I haven't changed a lot. I like everything that I liked when I was 11 years old, and I'll probably die liking the same stuff. So that's kind of the model I follow. Change nothing, enjoy.
And that's
Yeah,
the way to
rock and
do it.
roll, man. Yeah. Now just judging from the art that we've shown, judging from the video we just shown, judging from what we all know about comics, I think we can all agree that it is an art form. And again, it is a
Definitely.
part of pop culture. And it's laced into every aspect of all of our lives now, which is really cool. That I mean, comics are everywhere. Um, but with you, what you've done something that no one else has done that I've seen is that you've taken crowdfunding and
Hmm.
you've transformed publishing into an art form. Did you
I,
realize, that you were doing that when you were planning, creating Coffin Comics? Did you go in with a mission that we could do something that no one's ever done before?
well, to answer your question, I would definitely say I'm on a mission. There's no doubt. Um, I I didn't have an agenda. Let me cut back to the year 2014. I was sort of entangled with a different publisher, and we actually had to do cross lawsuits. And out of the settlement, I really did get to retain utter ownership of the character Lady Death moving forward. But that's October 2014. I was wondering, would people be interested any longer? So I did take a look at the landscape, and I interviewed people from a lot of different disciplines, the top retailers in the comics industry. I studied many companies that I admired that are outside of our industry. And my conclusion was that crowdfunding could be an approach where I could reach people directly and they would be enthusiastic. And that there would be the least distance between myself and the people who would like our stuff. So that was my conclusion. Like what it has turned into has completely exceeded our expectations, and we love it and we adore it every day. But it really grows out of just a desire to tell these stories, to keep things fun and exciting for people, and just enjoying what we do every day.
Yeah, and they see that. I mean, everyone sees that, especially your enthusiasm, and it really is contagious.
A lot.
It's infectious, and the more confident you are in that, and again, like you said, you bring these people in. You have your fiends. You had your very first own comic book convention, with your
Yeah.
Fiend Fest, which
Yeah.
harkens back to the great Halloween parties that you would have, and you just made a whole weekend out of it. And you brought these people into your studio. You brought them
Yeah.
into your lives, and they're spending a whole weekend with you. I mean, I've never heard of such a thing. Stan did. You remember the Marvel Con that he had in the city, and
Yeah.
and, and aside from Stan Lee, I mean, it's you and Stan. I mean, it's
Very
incredible.
good company, very good company.
Yeah,
All,
yeah.
all of Billy and Niall is just it's just sort of a natural expression. There's not a lot of cynicism to it. I mean, I think I speak for all of us. There's an element to my personality as a comic book creator that's somewhat solitary. But as like a lot of people, I do want to connect. So we saw things like Fiend Fest as a way of connecting, and ever since we've experienced the success we have through crowdfunding and through our mail order element of our business, when we got into our current building, which we call HQ, we knew that we wanted to make it look really, really cool, and that the way to express it fully is to invite our Fiend Nation into it, because really they made it possible. So that the fact that we're here, and we'll give you a little tour of some of the areas, the fact that we're here is all because of everyone out there, and we're grateful. And so when we work hard and we put this thing together here, it's that expression. And so we just felt beholden and wanting to share it with the people who dug it.
And what I find astonishing is how much of that your fiends, they buy your product, they contribute to lay death. You and Francisca seem to put it all back into the company. I mean, you
Yeah,
spend so much money that most creators would take it and, oh, I'm going to take a month off, or I'm going to buy a new car. You've thrown back into this amazing studio slash office slash Henry Ford, manufacturing shop where you have this assembly line that you're able to get your product out way faster than
Hmm.
anyone, and having your books complete before they're even done just shows your devotion to them. And we all know they're devoted to you, but I just see that, again, I think the reason why they're devoted to you is that of how you give everything back to them. And forgive me for gushing, but I just, just from knowing you for so long, and you've never changed. You've always been like that. And I think it's pretty incredible. And again, that Stan Lee comparison isn't, it's not far off, because Stan was like that, how engaged he was. And it's kind of fun about that, if I may, real quick, because when Marvel and DC in the 60s, you're a Marvel kid, that Marvel seemed to be a zoo. You know what I mean? It was a fun zoo. DC was a corporation. Sure. But in reality, Marvel was run like a tight corporation, and DC was kind of run like a zoo. You know what I mean? And Marvel had their books out, but there was Stan engaging the fans and talking to them. I remember I met Stan Lee in San Diego in 1994 when Debbie was online with Joni to get something to eat. That was Joni and Stan were getting something to eat at the concession stand. And all of a sudden she comes walking back to my booth. I want to introduce you to two friends of mine. And here's Stan and his wife. And Joni and Deb just hit it off. They were talking about Dobermans, which we owned at the time, and they did too. But to get to talking about Stan, if I may, like I said earlier, for over 25 years, you've been known as one of the leaders of the independent comics movement.
I'd like to cut in and just sort of qualify that. I don't know if that's entirely true, because let's be honest, I certainly had my ups and downs. The 90s were great. The OOs were tough. I was sort of obscure and kind of like asleep at the wheel. But it really, really was when I sued my former publisher. It really woke me up in a way where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm that guy. And it really did wake me up. That's why even in the Lady Death storyline, she wakes out of a thing we call the cursed sleep. And it's kind of a parallel, because there are these times in your life where you're up and you're down, and sometimes you don't even know you're down. So, I totally appreciate the acknowledgement. Right now is really a wonderful high time. But, I come before you and everybody, just letting everybody know I've had my ups and downs like everybody. And, that's life, man. That's the color of life.
And it's kind of funny that this was not by design, but I think I know one of, if not your favorite comic book character. And this particular character also had this time of sleep when they were frozen in time, and then it was a rebirth for them. Not unsimilar. Can you kind of fill us in on who your favorite, because you're a comics fan. You read comics every week. You have your favorite books that you buy. So tell the fans of that, who's your guy?
Well, my guy is Captain America. I think different people in different groups know that I've been a mainstream comic reader from the get-go. I read comic books very consistently since I was, I read Captain America monthly without fail since July of 1974. I'm particularly fond of the Bronze Age of comics and the Silver Age of comics. The 80s were phenomenal as well. I also think current comics are tremendous, particularly the independents. So as far as what I'm reading right now, I always read Captain America. My personal taste on the current Captain America storyline is I don't like that he's framed for murder. I'd like Captain America to get back to the simpler stories of guys like Steve Englehart and Roger Stern, where it's 1 to 3 issues of action adventure, and Captain America is just like, a good dude that people like. That's that piece. I read Walking Dead. I've read it since issue number 6. Enjoy it. I read a lot of what the guy Donnie Cates writes. So I started with That Country. I read Redneck. I had a lot of fun with his Cosmic Ghost Rider and currently with his Guardians. I'm a big fan of the writer Jason Aaron. I'm enjoying his totally bananas run on Avengers right now. And that's just a little sliver of what I read. I also read all different types of genres. I'm reading The Wicked and the Divine, East of West, and the list really goes on. I enjoy reading comics weekly. So, that's just a taste of it. I'm definitely a mainstream superhero fan. I find it a little challenging right now. I mentioned to you briefly, Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder's run on Batman is admirable. What I like about it's great, and I like that they've stuck with it for a while. That's nice to see creators staying on a title for a long period of time.
Yes,
so
yes, it is.
That's a view of some of my current tastes in comics. We can talk about that element for a long time. Continuing that particular conversation with me, go to the Facebook group, the Collector's Corner. I'm on there all the time, and we're always yapping about comics.
Now, speaking of new comics, buying new comics, you just came back from the Emerald City Comic Con. You just had with Monty yesterday. You had that great thing. Is there anything new that you have for the fans that you'd want to showcase? Is there any?
Well, there is. If I could, guys, what I'd love to do is to show you a little bit around my studio, and then maybe we can discuss a little bit about my Kickstarter and some of the rewards that we're offering. Would that be okay with you guys?
Yes, let's go for the tour.
That's perfect. Should we wait for the? Can I just finish with a few more questions and then we'll hit with the tour? Let's see. Okay. Let me just get back and do my thing. Again, talking about the fans or your fiends. You know, people always talk about that Marvel fan base of the '60s and '70s, and their loyalty to the brand is legendary. But like, quite frankly, I don't know if Stan's fans can hold a candle to Coffin's fiends. I mean, now, how did you do that?
So the question is, how did I do that? And the answer is, I really do not know. I couldn't tell you. I think the best thing to do is to ask the fiends why we have Fiend Nation. What I'd like to hope that people get from what I do is that I wake up every day, I work hard, I'm transparent, I try to kind of put my heart right on my sleeve. I show you the good, the bad, and the ugly about what we're doing. My personal philosophy is, and this is somewhat serious, is that life is tough, and everyone from all walks of life go through tough times, and they have the crosses to bear. And what I hope is for the stuff that the comics that I make with my teams and the experience that we provide, that it just provides a little fun and a little happiness, you know, in an otherwise fairly challenging world. So if some of those are the ingredients that connect with people, that's my guess. I think ultimately the idea that we're hyper committed to superior customer service, highest quality, and telling stories that are fun. I kind of realize that the stories that we make, they're not War and Peace and they're not going to win an Eisner, but they do what I want them to do, which is to entertain people, give people something to think about, something to root for. So I'm not sure I know the answer to the question of why is there a fiendom. Maybe some of those are the ingredients. That's my best guess.
Well, you'll win an Eisner. So you will. Now, getting back to if I may finish.
Yeah,
now that Lady Death is the queen, she's also, let's talk Coffin Comics. She's a general. She is the general of your legions, just like you. But she's got some pretty hardcore captains. Can you fill us in on a little more of your other stable of Coffin Comics characters? You've had several Kickstarters. Not all 15 of them have been Lady Death. Can you fill us in on some of those?
Sure, absolutely right. So now we're in what is our 4th year of new comics publishing, and we have several characters that make up what we are calling the ever-expanding Coffinverse. So one of the first characters that we spun off was La Muerta. So La Muerta stands for the dead woman. And this particular story takes place solidly in the crime revenge space, and it's about a character named Maria Diaz. And Maria is a returning Afghan soldier who is reunited with her family on Dia de los Muertos, the Mexican Day of the Dead. And everything is great except that her brother has fallen into an occult-leaning crime cartel. And on the night of the reunion, the cartel exacts revenge and appears to kill everyone in the family and leaves Maria in a coma. 8 months later, she realizes her family is dead and gone. And with nowhere else to turn, she goes to the police, she goes to her church. With nowhere to turn, she decides to pick up the mantelpiece of revenge, and guided by the actual saint, Santa Muerte, she does just that. And currently in our current La Muerta storyline, we are about to introduce Chapter 5 this May via Kickstarter on May 8th, 7 o'clock, and the story is called Ascension. And this particular storyline features the return of Mama Z. The creative team on La Muerta is writer Mike McLean, illustrator Joel Gomez, colorist Cece De La Cruz, and veteran letterer Marshall Dillon. And that is our return team. And that's La Muerta. Last fall, we were very lucky to introduce a spin-off character from Lady Death. And that character name is Hell Witch.
Yes.
Hell Witch
Yeah.
Yeah.
Witch. That's another fun thing about doing Kickstarter comics and not worrying about like practices or guidance or censors is we can do an
Comics code.
comic called Hell Witch, and
Yeah.
there ain't anybody telling us what to do.
Yeah. And
Hell
hey,
Witch is a story that takes place in hell, and it is about a character who is born in a hive, and she starts as a lowly sanitation worker and rises up to topple the queen of her hive. And Hell Witch was very successful when we launched her last fall. That team is myself and Mike McLean as co-writers, illustrated by Diego Bernard, colored by Cece De La Cruz, and lettered by veteran letterer Marshall Dillon. And I'm happy to announce that we're deep into production on Hell Witch 2.
Yeah.
Premiere on Kickstarter in October with the exact same creative team.
Boom.
Not all. We introduced another character named Zack the Zombie Exterminator, and that is a horror comedy. I pitch it as Dawn of the Dead meets Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
that's awesome.
And that was a 96-page graphic novel, and I'm happy to say, for fans of that particular story, that Zack and his brother Zane reappear in Lady Death's next adventure after Scorched Earth, which is called Blasphemy Anthem. So inside Blasphemy Anthem, Lady Death and another host of characters, all supernatural, need the specialized skills of extermination that only Zack and his brother can provide. And that's not all. So you can see that we're in a mode where we're having fun and we're introducing brand new cool supernatural characters. So even after this particular Kickstarter, Scorched Earth, the next Lady Death Kickstarter, which happens in August, is called Lady Death Blasphemy Anthem. So Billy, you asked the question, I answered it. We got a lot on our plate and we're having a blast.
Well, I don't know. That says it, guys. When we say we take it, I mean that. How
the
amazing
gears
is
are
that
in
going to be?
motion.
I mean, and you're having fun, and you've already got
Yeah.
your publishing schedule well into the next year, into 2020.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Brian, do you want to take us on a tour? Can we see your studios, your offices? Could we do that?
Yes, we can do that, Billy, and we're going to start right here and right now where we're broadcasting from. If Jimmy Calabrese, our cameraman, wants to take a step back, we'll show you that we're in what we call the Pulido Archive.
Nice.
So this is the Pulido Archive, and you can see we changed it into a bit of a studio. But if you take a look from this particular point of view, here's our archive sign, which is lit, featuring my signature and also Horns Up, man, my actual horns. And what we have here is a retrospective of my career in comic books. And you can take a look at some of the prototypes. These are the Dark Alliance action figure prototype 2-ups from the late 90s. It was neat. You just went past, this was a Cremator statue by the Shiflett brothers that was never made, actually. And then as another, maybe an illustration that's helpful to people who are interested in crowdfunding and collecting in general, or creating in general, up here we have my actual original chicken scratch drawings of the character Purgatory.
Yeah, Purgatory, yeah.
And if you notice, it really, it's chicken scratch, but it has everything that needs to be communicated to an artist to really flourish. So I show that to you proudly because hopefully it helps you kind of unleash the creative person inside you and just be willing to go for it. Continuing a little bit of the tour of the archive, you'll take a look at, let's say, that's actually one of my first ever illustrations of Lady Death. It's a copy.
Oh, wow.
See some of the process work we do, from actually a comic book script to a layout to a page. And a little known fact, I actually did the great majority of the layouts for the late, great Stephen Hughes. It's what he liked, so I did them. I'm not taking credit for his wonderful illustration because he's totally the man, but he just liked it when I did layouts. We have other illustrations of that, but it's covered by the broadcast. But yeah, take a look. Our archive covers the subjects like Lady Death, which you're looking at now, and some of the original art from the collection, the archive collection. And then we actually do wing over here to the Crowdfunding Comics section and some art on display. To the left here is a beautiful page from Hell Witch. In the middle page, a beautiful cover by Richard Ortiz.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yes. And then for bragging rights, way up here in the middle, I don't know if you can see it, but there's an Ink Pot Award.
Yes.
I got that Ink Pot Award from San Diego Comic Con last year.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
I still feel great about it. The fiends are never far away from our minds, so this is a section called Fiend Made. And this is just some cool things that fiends have made through the years. I'll highlight one or two. So up here is this beautiful image of Evil Ernie by a guy named Brian Lioncourt, and it's actually painted in his blood.
Oh,
wow.
So that's pretty rad. And
That is
just
awesome.
some other neat things. In this day and age, you got amazing talent. So here's a guy named Jason Bowers who actually did this beautiful 3D model based off of a image by Paolo Pantalena. So
they're both amazing. Both of them. Paolo and I mean, my God, Mr. Bowers is unbelievable.
Yes.
With his 3D sculpting, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, he actually did a lot of other elements. Maybe we'll see some of them here in HQ. A little quick look at Smiley the Psychotic Button. Smiley the Psychotic Button was Evil Ernie's crazy sidekick button. I'm very happy to say that to this day, he's the best-selling button character in comics of all time. He might also be the only one, but he's still definitely... I have you guys, and we are going to continue the tour. If you don't mind, let me tell you a little bit about our current Kickstarter.
Yes,
Give you
please
my
do.
value proposition. So, and then I would love to answer some questions and provide any insights. So, for a mere $26, you can consider our Kickstarter. And here is one of our rewards, the main one. This is a mock-up of the comic Scorched Earth. Scorched Earth is 48 pages, and it is square-bound. And I'm going to show you a previous example so you see the quality that we produce. UV coated, thick cardstock cover, perfect bound, 48 pages. Here is some actual printed art from the work itself. This has just come off the printer fresh. We've actually already gone to press on the interiors of the book so that we could ensure a, whoops, don't look at that, timely, that's a giveaway. To ensure timely delivery. So this book is 48 pages of story and art. There is no filler. But again, here's some cool pages that are finished. You can see the great Diego Bernard, C.C. De La Cruz, and veteran letterer Marshall Dillon. And so this is the actual, they call it a signature before it is trimmed. And that's actually what's going to begin to start happening in the next week. This will all be trimmed and bound to the various editions. If you back our Kickstarter, I'm here to let you know that for $26, we do offer the following. Free US shipping, all stretch goals in the stretch pack, free digital copy, and I personally am willing to sign any comic that we do or any item, and that is optional. I'll give you a sense too of what is our stretch goal pack like, and because it's not your common stretch goal. We've already unlocked a zillion of them, and the ones I'm about to show you are not the actual ones, but they're similar. So among many others, we've unlocked a brand new pin. It has 2 clasps in the back, it's soft enamel. We've unlocked a new button, and that new button is by Jim Ballin. We've unlocked the 2019 25th Anniversary Challenge coin. That is 1.75 inches tall, features antique silver and black painting. It's not unusual for our Kickstarters to include a whole nother comic book. So although this is a facsimile, we have unlocked for free a 48-page version of Scorched Earth that is just the pencils. That way you can see the art unobstructed. We have unlocked already a double-sided bookmark, a holofoil card, a campaign sticker, guitar card, and a bumper. Actually, I think our current one is the bumper sticker, so it's not this one, it's a new one. And we have a long history of doing trading cards, so it'll feature all the key art in. Oh, and this is a refrigerator magnet, and on our current campaign, the refrigerator magnet is by the one and only Adam Hughes. So,
oh wow!
Wow.
That's my value proposition. For $26, you get all that stuff and more. That's pretty crazy, right?
That is
So
crazy.
let's continue.
Jeez, $26.
$26 delivered in the
$26.
US, a couple more dollars for international. But because we are a mail order based company, we can aggregate all our international orders and give people the best pricing and shipping. Let's continue our tour, shall we?
Yes, I want to see this.
So This is the Chaos Comics hallway, and this shows you a little bit, this particular wall, some of the fun stuff from our Chaos era. That includes Evil Ernie, some layouts, good old retail posters. You know, one day everyone will have to come and check it out because it's a lot to see. And on this side of the wall is a bunch of samples of all the different cool, crazy characters and printing processes. I've been lucky enough to either write or publish Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, WWF, Megadeth, Chucky, the list goes on. But check this out. I'm going to invite you into my personal war room. This is called our conference room. Jimmy Calabrese will give you a good look at it. This is the conference room, and it features a coffin-shaped conference table, which is always very, very difficult to communicate the shape. It doesn't look like a coffin. And then on this side of the room, this is Bar Sinister. So Bar Sinister, because every conference room should absolutely have a bar. This is the one and only Bar Sinister. And may I also take a moment to show you boys and girls some of the other rewards that you could consider on the Lady Death Scorched Earth campaign. So this edition is the Naughty Edition with artwork by J. Anacoletto.
Oh, he's
That's
amazing.
beautiful.
He's amazing. This is the Jeweled Edition, only a mock-up, by newcomer Nathan Zerdy.
That is beautiful,
Dude,
Nathan.
Great. We'll actually put actual Swarovski crystals on this.
Really?
And then finally, to your right, is the Holofoil Edition by the one and only Dawn McTeague.
I love her work.
she's
She's
fantastic.
fantastic. I
She's
love what
great.
she
She's
does.
a pal. So this is a little look at Bar Sinister. And I don't know how we're doing on time. And if we want to talk about some crowdfunding questions, why don't we go back and do a little crowdfunding questions, and then I'll show you a little bit more of the tour of HQ. Would that be
Absolutely.
okay?
We have 15 minutes, Brian.
All right, cool. So let's segue back into some questions that might be helpful to people if they're to run crowdfunding or a Kickstarter.
All right, let's see that. First one I want to bring up is that you obviously take the customer service side of this all very seriously. And that's not an easy switch for creators, obviously. But how important is the customer service side to crowdfunding, to the crowdfunding process? Because people have to deliver their books. I mean, I think I've contributed some campaigns that are like 4 years old now, and I've yet to even get the product, and I've given them $50 or so. So,
yeah, well, look, like you guys, I also back a bunch of Kickstarters, and I'm also a consumer. So as a consumer, I kind of want my stuff when I'm promised it. So that's how we generally operate. I think a lot of the principles that we operate on are just old school, old-fashioned principles that make sense, which is one, make a physically high-quality product, number one. And then number two, in the domain of customer service, deliver what you promise, and if you can't deliver, be transparent about it. Mm-hmm. But I gotta let you guys know, you gotta be on point. We live in a world where people want what they want when they want it, and they deserve it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yes, we absolutely do. We've completed 14 Kickstarters, and generally speaking, we've delivered the goods usually we begin delivering within 8 weeks of completion of the Kickstarter itself. There's been some cases where it's a week off, and some cases where we delivered 3 weeks early, but generally speaking, that is the promise. And we do take it very seriously, but I'll also let you know, with our wonderful staff at Coffin Comics, we do see it kind of as a game. We're interested in perpetual incremental improvement. And I mean, this is something I warned everybody about early on. Isn't that true, Jimmy? Yeah, so I warned everybody. I said, look, if you're jumping on this train, just understand we're always going to be driving to improve. It's never going to be perfect. You can't be comfortable. We always got to improve. So speaking to that particular point, and I think we've all been on the wrong side of a Kickstarter that just took too long or people didn't communicate. It just seems completely fair to me. And if you're interested in building a business, you gotta deliver what you promise. Full stop.
Yeah, I mean, there really is a true element of risk, and I'm just worrying this is your 15th Kickstarter,
Yeah.
And so you've kind of got you are a well-oiled machine. You're putting out better product. The books, the production values on each and every book far surpass the last one,
Mm-hmm.
and you just keep growing and growing. But so that said, were you nervous about the very first Lady Death Kickstarter from 4 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I'll come clean with you guys on something. I'm nervous on every Kickstarter,
So on
so
every, you're still nervous
yeah.
before the night before the new Kickstarter launches or so, or when it first launches.
The week leading up is just a bundle of nerves. I don't know really where that stems from, but I mean, Jimmy could confirm it. But yeah, I mean, the first Kickstarter I launched, I had every concern a human being could have, and they're all reasonable concerns. Like, are people going to care? Do people want this? Am I washed up? I mean, all of it, right? So,
Yeah.
um, I think there's an element to my personality where maybe it's like a stage fright quality. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop though, and I think that's another teachable moment. Is I'm nervous as all get out, but it's not going to stop me. It's not going to prevent me from trying to go after what I need to go after. So yeah, even I was hoping before this. I hope this every time that before this Kickstarter launch that I wouldn't be kind of a nervous wreck in the lead up, but I was, and I kind of accept that that's how it goes for me. I mean, dude, once we go live, I'm good, and once I'm on camera, I'm good. But the lead up is, it's just kind of, it's nerve wracking.
It's the hype and the nerves building it up. It gets exciting.
Yeah,
it's exciting. It's nerve wracking.
That's why the bar was put in.
Yeah, that's why the bar is there. There's the bar help.
That's right.
So, because you do have to have your moment alone. I mean, you've been with your beautiful wife for what, almost 30 years now, or 30 years or so,
Yeah,
and you have and this family that works there, your coffin crew. But there is that time that Brian's alone, when Brian has to come up with, there is your time when you're by yourself and you're locked in with your own thoughts, your own fears. And I think that if you feel that and you overcome it, then all of the other people that want to create their own Kickstarters or Indiegogos, and like I said, if you think you're brave, or if you act brave and you just do it, then you are brave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bravery or courage isn't something you get like sitting down on the sidelines. You got to get in it. And like I mentioned, I was talking to Jimmy earlier about this. One thing my father instilled upon me, it was super simple, but he always said, "Make it happen, Pulido, make it happen." So it doesn't matter how I feel personally. I'm committed to this bigger goal, which is making things happen.
Right. Now, this is a question from me. What mistakes have you made that you could perhaps share with me and others out there that would help us avoid such mistakes, if you don't mind sharing, like, oh, I should have done that,
Yeah. Well, I think the first major mistake that we made when we launched the first ever Lady Death Kickstarter was we launched it, and then we realized only then, that backers could only back one reward at a time. So people can't say, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. That being the case, we had to learn about concepts called add-ons, overpledges, and how we can help manage people to get through that process. And I gotta tell you, it was like having your pants caught down. Because people would say, hey, I backed this reward, but I'd like this. What do I do? And literally, we didn't know what to do. So that was the first and biggest mistake. Another mistake, I mean, I'm riffing here, but I mean, really don't launch until you put your best foot forward and you're truly prepared. And I also think, as corny as it sounds, even for a comic book Kickstarter, people need to see a video. They really need to see the person who's the creative driving force in front of them making their, offering their wares up and kind of making their value proposition. I think not having it costs people a lot.
Now, how much time, because you have a good solid team, how much time do you guys put into generating the videos and the media? And I mean, it inspired me with some stuff I do. I mean, seeing some of the things that you guys put together, I'm like, oh wow, this is amazing.
Yeah. Well, Niall, thanks for saying that. The funny behind the scenes truth is that I guess like 5 of us, or half of us here, have all graduated film schools. So we're all frustrated, want to be Sam Raimi's. So any opportunity for us to put our skills forth, we're all about it. So we book extra time to make them fun. Essentially, what people want to know in a video and a Kickstarter that I think is this. Who are you? What have you done? What are you offering? And ask for the sale. And I think you're out. I think the era of these crazy flashy videos that last 15 minutes is done.
Yeah.
But you just got to get to the point. And that's what we like to do. We like to kind of get right to the point. This last one, Scorched Earth, which you guys just rolled, was a lot of fun. Since it involved the word scorched, we're able to use a lot of fire effects. You know. But I do believe that, it's just be appropriate, tell the story you need to tell, don't overdo it. I mean, I've seen some really crazy videos, but I don't think they're necessary. I think like we're talking person to person, that really gives people the tactile experience of like, I am talking to a human being, as opposed to, I just spent $70,000 on these crazy effects. That has nothing to do with my project.
Right. How long of a video do you recommend for people?
Every video we're trying to make shorter. So the first video I think we did was 3 minutes and 30 seconds. In this last video, I could be wrong, but I think it was 103 seconds. So I think shorter is better, personally. It's sort of like the objective is almost like a movie trailer, 30, 60 seconds, trying to get your message really condensed.
Yeah, and there is nothing worse. When they make these 3-minute movie trailers, plus 2-minute movie trailers, and they show the whole damn movie. So why even go see it? And I don't know. I just love that the Tarantino Once Upon a Time in Hollywood dropped this week, and it was short, and it was quick, and it was sharp, and I loved it. I'm like, I want to see this movie. I don't need to see any more trailers from it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and then we
actually
have
about 7 minutes left.
Yeah.
May I continue our tour of HQ?
Yes, please.
Can we just do one question that keeps kind of coming up is how important is it to have the book complete, or what do you think is a good percentage to have complete before you launch your Kickstarter?
Full disclosure, before I ever did a Kickstarter, I consulted a person who I think was doing a great job on Kickstarters and is kind of the mayor of comics, and that's Jimmy Palmiotti.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I actually asked that exact question of Jimmy Palmiotti about a year before I ever launched, and at that time he had done a bunch of them. And when Jimmy talks, I listen, and he said it was important to at least be ready to print.
Okay.
And when I really thought about that from a customer service perspective, I thought he was right. Now, let me qualify this. In our first year, our household went to great financial risk putting money up front to do just that. We had 4 projects in our first year, and we were all in. And all of those things had to fund and make the money for this thing to work. So in retrospect, it looked easy, but we put it all on the line. If you're not in a position to do that, and what you need to do is you authentically need the money to make the project, you can do that. But I will let you know that will cost you. It'll cost you because people want things quick. And if you could get a team together and you can get your book ready almost to the point of printing, by the time you launch, it puts you in a better position to get it printed and get it into people's hands quick. So that's my strong view, and it's based on what Jimmy Palmiotti originally told me.
Yep.
And I believe to this day.
Absolutely.
Right.
You're getting a lot of comments. If you want to take us on a tour, I just want to say that Comic Book Bob, if I could find it, there's so many comments, says, love seeing you back in the game, brother.
Thank you, Comic Book Bob.
And there's a lot of things like that. But yes, people are saying, yes, Chaos Comics. But I got to tell you, looking at that logo back there, and I love Chaos Comics. I'm a fiend. I'm sworn. But I love Coffin Comics. I think you hit a home run with that. I love the logo. I think it is just so you, because Chaos is cool and crazy, but you are so focused. You are so diligent in what you do, and you get the job done. And it's almost like slamming a damn lid on the comics industry. And they're all trapped inside of there with you.
Yeah, and you've created a universe that doesn't fill our imaginations and everything with these books, but you've created a world that you're there for your fans. If they actually want to hang out with you and see you, you're now offering events and things. I mean, no one's doing this. It's like a full encompassing just experience. Look at that. That's goosebumps I'm getting right now.
But nobody cares.
Just
but no one's caring to do that for the fans. What they do. How much, like I said, how much they spend. How much he puts back into the company to make this entire experience for the fans. It's really inspiring. But please, if you want to show us, let's grab some questions real quick because we are running low on. Time goes so fast, and
well, why don't we finish the tour and then we'll see if we have a few more questions we can do.
Yeah.
Do a few questions, and I'll tell you what, we'll take you through a little bit of a tour now, and we're going to go into a room that we call the Coffin Comics shop. So actually here at HQ we have our own super customed out shop.
That is
Made
awesome.
by Jason Fowers, Guy Caldwell, and their team, and others. And it's fun in the Coffin Comic Shop. Are we still on?
yes,
Yes, sir.
Everyone should have a coffin.
nice.
We also have, like, you have to be here in the shop. It's the only way to get, like, our foam fingers.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
only
that's
way to get
awesome.
the cowbell. Or any of our barware.
Oh, I
Nice.
didn't even know you guys had the barware. That's fantastic.
Of course we have barware. Come on, man. We have our priorities.
Yes, I
Anyway,
need to
I'm
stock
happy
my
answer
bar
any
with it.
questions you guys may have.
Brian Rezkai wants to know, for the people that missed Hellborn because it sounds so amazing, will you be offering #1 again?
Well, yes. Thank you for your question. If you take a look at the Lady Death Scorched Earth Kickstarter on Kickstarter, we have reward tiers that include bundles. And inside that reward tier, we have instructions where you can send us a message and just get any one of those items as an add-on to your Kickstarter. Hopefully that answers your question. If it does not,
I'll post a link. I'm going to post a link to the Kickstarter right now. So that we froze up.
While we're here, I'm also letting you know that one of the reward tiers we have is the Homage Edition. And this Homage Edition reimagines the classic Golden Era Captain America cover as Captain Death. And it has Captain Death in her coffin-shaped shield fighting Satanus instead of Captain America fighting Nazis. A fun little shout out to my fellow Captain America fans.
There you go.
And then we have quite a few questions. I'm just going to kind of put it into one. Is, do you foresee bringing any other of your Chaos characters from the past coming in? A lot of questions about Evil Ernie and stuff like that.
Sure, yeah. Just to address that, I do not foresee being involved in those characters ever. I lost the Chaos characters in a business bankruptcy in August of 2002. And those characters were acquired by another company. And I don't have a meaningful relationship with that company, and I do not advocate their work, and I'm not a fan of it. So I actually do not foresee being involved ever. And I'm actually just having too much fun inventing new stuff. So I love all those characters. They're great, but I say rest in peace. See you on the other side. If you're interested in what's happening now, I invite you to come on board and see what new, fresh craziness I'm going to produce.
And we're excited for it. Very excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we are running out of time. It's now saying it's 8 o'clock, but I want to let everyone know I posted the link. Please go see Brian Pulido. First of all, Brian, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything.
Yes, thank you so
Please
much.
go see Brian Pulido's newest Lady Death Scorched Earth #1. We are now just over $500 away from $275,000. Let's push this over. Yeah, let's show the big guys, who what independent comics can do. Please pledge, please share. Sworn, Brian Pulido. This has been an incredible pleasure. I know you don't do a lot of interviews, and we really are honored that you came on for our inaugural interview.
Number 1.
Yes,
it was
episode
amazing.
#1.
Niall will also be uploading a high res, right?
I'm gonna upload a high res video.
Too.
And if you guys have any other questions or anything for Brian, if he doesn't mind, we've got comments below. I think he might have a little. We're heading somewhere. Yes.
There you go. Let's finish it where we began. I'd like to thank Niall and Billy Tucci and Comic Crowdfunding. You guys are lunatics. Thank you so much. Please back our Kickstarter. Love you all, people, man. Peace out. I am your boy, Brian Pulido, and I am sworn.
Sworn. Good night, Brian.
Good
Thank
night,
you
everyone.
For have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Remember to
buddy.
like, share, hit the bell, and spread the word of Crowdfunding Comics.
Yeah, you want to run that? We want to run his video one more time.
Let's run that video one more time.
Thank
Hey everybody, it's Brian Pulido, creator of Lady Death, and we are back to rock your world with an all-new 48-page graphic novel entitled Lady Death, Scorched Earth. 20 years ago, the Earth as we know it was irrevocably changed in the aftermath of Lady Death's epic battle with Atrocity, the mother of abomination. A major city was laid to waste, and though she saved the day, Lady Death was labeled a global threat. Set against this backdrop, and with the extinction-level villainy of the Trinity threatening humanity, Lady Death returns to Earth. Will she be seen as friend or foe? Is she humanity's salvation or destruction? Featuring the insidious villainy of the Halo Corporation, and I am sorry to say, the death of a beloved character. This one is gonna hurt, folks. Helping me bring this next chapter to light is co-writer Mike McLean, and welcome new official illustrator Diego Bernard, colorist CC De La Cruz, and veteran letterer Marshall Dillon. Plus, we have a slew of amazing cover artists to rock your world. And here's the thing, these projects are done. All we gotta do is print. There's no doubt we need your help to bring Lady Death to life. Please pledge now, and pledge often. Tell everybody. Thank you so much, everybody. You guys effing rule.